A lot of sellers think that it's simple. You list your home, you get offers, done. Well, when in reality, the strategy behind pricing, preparation, and negotiation can mean the difference of tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Welcome to RE Radar. I'm your host and realtor, Nathan Mathisen. And if you're new here, what this is a space for real estate education. Whether you're buying, selling, or just trying to understand how this all works, this is the spot for you. Today, I'm going to be walking you through the full home selling process from the moment you decide to sell all the way to closing and handing those keys off to the new buyers. Now, starting off here, let's look a little bit with the big picture. At a high level, the selling process kind of breaks down into a few different phases. First, you've got the pre-listing prep. Then you've got the pricing strategy, launching of the listing. You've got on-market activity and negotiations, and then getting under contract to closing. Now let's go step by step here, starting, of course, with that pre-listing prep stage. So once you decide to sell your home, what's next? Well, the first move is simple. You're going to want to connect with a real estate agent. Maybe it's someone you've already worked with or someone you already know and trust, or you want to start interviewing agents, as this is really where the process is just going to begin. From there, you're going to move into that actual prep. And this, of course, well, it looks different for every single home because, again, like I talk about all the time, every home is different. Now, one of the first questions you're going to need to answer is, am I willing to put money into this home in order to get more out of it when it sells? And this is situational dependent. Now, if so, how much money? As those decisions are going to drive everything in this prep stage. Now, I have done some full episodes on what improvements matter most, so I won't go too deep here, but a quick little checklist on some high impact, lower cost items because, well, let's face it, everything costs an arm and a leg here in Seattle. So one of the first things I always touch on is flooring condition, whether that be getting your hardwoods refinished or replacing the floor. Then you've got the neutral, clean paint you're going to want. And then you've got landscape and raising the curb appeal of your home from when the buyers first show up. Those three things, the floor, the paint, and that instant curb appeal, are going to help when a buyer first shows up to the house. They're going to like the overall look of the home more so than if you've got floors that are beat to death and you've got the most bold, wild paint and the front entrance of your home has cobwebs and just is overgrown and looks messy. A buyer's not going to like that. Now, of course, every home is different. So if you do have an older home, maybe a completely just outdated 1930s home, your list of potential upgrades, it could be much longer. This is where you're going to want to lean on that real estate agent who's the expert for guidance on what's actually worth doing and what's just going to be a waste of money and not get you any return. For example, one of the things, major systems, they matter. So if your electrical is completely outdated or unsafe, well, that could scare a buyer off entirely and make it so they're not even willing to check out your home. Or, for example, maybe take a roof. If it's a 30, 40, 50-year-old roof and is in rough shape, well, replacing that could be a very strategic move. Otherwise, buyers, they might just pass because that's going to be a high cost item for someone who's putting a lot of money into buying a home. Or they're going to end up trying to really beat you down in negotiations and get that price lowered to account for the idea of them needing to put $20,000, $25,000 into a new roof. So again, there's not one size fits all answer here. This is all strategy based on your specific home and your situation, but those are some general tips right there. Now, another decision during that prep is whether to do a pre-inspection and sewer scope. There are, of course, like everything in life, pros and cons to doing this. Some of the pros for doing an inspection and sewer scope would be you're going to identify issues early so then you can fix them, or you could at least price accordingly with knowledge of that. Buyers, they might then feel more confident submitting offers, having that in their hands before writing offers. Now the cons, well, it's just more money you're going to have to spend up front. And then, of course, if you uncover some issues, you're going to have to disclose them. And that second point is key because, well, if you didn't know about those issues, then of course you wouldn't be disclosing them. But since you do now know about them due to the inspection, you are legally required to disclose them to any potential buyers. So again, this is situationally dependent. Strong market, maybe buyers waive inspections anyway. Slower market, a pre-inspection could help you stand out and help buyers feel confident with making offers on your home. Now let's talk about the next step. So once the home is physically ready, you move into that presentation stage of the planning part. So first off, you're going to want to do a deep cleaning, ideally after you've moved out. As well, if you're going to be living in the home, it's just automatically going to make it more difficult to sell. So it's best if it's vacant. Then you've got the staging. And I strongly recommend, if the home is a vacant home, that you do staging, because empty homes, they feel cold. Staged homes, they feel livable. Buyers can actually picture themselves there, and that matters and will make it so that they have an easier time purchasing the home, easier time writing that contract up with the idea of being able to feel comfortable in that space. Now, staging, though, of course, it costs money. Typically, it's anywhere in the range of maybe $3,000 to $5,000 plus, depending on, size of the home and the exact items you're going to be staging it with, the aesthetics. After that, you're going to want to get professional photography in there. That's really a non-negotiable in my eyes. The first showing for everybody is basically always going to be online nowadays. If the photos don't stand out, buyers, they won't even come see the home. So you're instantly losing out on opportunities. If you went cheap with photos and got iPhone little horrible photos, buyers will click through it and think this home looks bad, when in reality, maybe it's just the photos were bad. Now, while all that prep work is being done, your agent should be refining price and calculating exactly what the best list price is going to be. Because, well, markets, they shift. If it's been a couple months, maybe even longer since your original analysis was done by the agent, that number very likely needs to be slightly adjusted. Now, when you've got all that figured out, everything's set up, the home's ready for presentation, it's looking clean, looking great, you've got your price number, and you've got it all down pat, you're ready to list. The question is, when do you actually list? And I have done episodes on the time of the year to list with pros and cons of listing spring, summer, fall, winter. So check that video out for sure. But for this one, what I'm going to be talking about is just what day of the week. And the best days are going to be your Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Most common listing days are going to be Wednesday or Thursday. That gives you kind of a few days of agent activity with agent previews, maybe agent showings with clients. And then you're going to hit the weekend with maximum exposure and open houses throughout the weekend to allow for as many potential buyers as possible to get in during the first week. Because, well, here's the reality. The first week is everything. That is going to be when all the active buyers see your home. After 2 to 3 weeks, if it hasn't sold, it gets significantly harder, especially to get full price. Because think about it like this. Everyone who's been shopping in that range, in that style, in that location, well, they're going to see it right when it comes out. So they're going to have already seen it during that first week. So after the first week, really what you're looking at, your options are the new buyers who are just getting into the market, or the people who are maybe shifting what they're looking for. So the first week is when you are going to have the best odds to get the best deal. And that's why you're going to just want everything dialed in and looking crisp and clean from the get-go. Now, once you are live on the market, your agent is going to shift into marketing mode. They're going to want to get as many eyes and as many showings as possible on your home. During this time, communication, it's going to matter. You should be getting regular updates from your agent, and not just how many showings have I gone, but actual feedback from the agents who have showed your home. For example, maybe you got 4 showings one day. 2 had concerns about layout though, and 2 thought the price was just too high. That feedback is important, as it is what is going to drive the adjustments you need to make later on if your home does not sell. Because if something's not working, you're going to want to pivot quickly. Now, once your home's been listed and once offers start coming in, this is where the details matter. You're not just looking at price. Price, yeah, it's great. It's key. It is a key portion, but you're also going to be reviewing the terms. You're looking at contingencies, the timelines, financing strength of offers, earnest money. Deadlines are critical here. Missing one can put the entire deal at risk. So you're going to want to look over that contract closely with your real estate agent. Now, if you want a little bit of a deeper breakdown on maybe the offer structure and what you can include, I cover that a little more in the buyer process episode. So make sure to check that out. But the key here is simple. Don't just chase the highest price number. Look at the strength of the entire offer. Now, once you have accepted an offer, You are under contract in mutual acceptance, which does not mean the home sold yet. You are now going to be working through those buyer contingencies, the appraisal with the lender, final loan approval for that buyer. You're not done yet, as well, there are still opportunities for this deal to fall apart if something goes sideways. And typically, it might be a 30-day closing time frame from when you have gone into mutual acceptance with a buyer to when your home is officially closing and being sold to that new buyer. But if everything stays on track during that window, you'll be moving towards closing. And when you get there, then it's going to be about signing documents, final walkthroughs for the buyer, and then recording with the county. And once it records, boom, bam, wham, it's official. Now, that's kind of the loose, general, full selling process. The biggest mistake sellers will make is underestimating that prep work. This isn't something that you can decide on Monday and execute perfectly by Friday. Can you list that fast? Well, sure. Will it give you the best results? Probably not. If you want top dollar, it takes planning and strategy. Now, if you've got any questions or want a personalized game plan, reach out anytime. I'm always happy to help. But until then, this has been RE Radar. I'm Nathan Mathisen. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, peace.